Hey guys, how's it going, everybody? It's Thursday. It's a great day of the week, and we are consistently streaming once more. This is the third day in a row I've been doing this. Welcome, everybody, to the show. My name is Stuart Davis, flawed man of God, here talking to you tonight. I am a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I am not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, haven't been to seminary. Not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm trying to do here is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about Christianity, talk about the Bible, talk about a wide variety of topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them. One that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 40 years, non denominational Protestant. Don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to get it better day in and day out. Some days I'll get it right, other days, not so much. But either way, what you're going to get from me are honest takes whenever I'm able to stream here for you. So if you're somebody who is new to Christianity, somebody who is interested in learning more about Jesus, perhaps. Maybe there are some questions you might have. Maybe there's a voice in the back of your mind wondering if there's more to your existence than just your life here on earth. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Hopefully this can be a place for you to come and learn more about what God has to offer, what He has given you and blessed you with, and that you will pick it up and run with it. This is not a this is not a comprehensive, cohesive project, 12-step program, or anything that's going to get you to become a Christian, but hopefully I can set you on the right path, maybe springboard you into that relationship with God, maybe help dispel some rumors, or just let you know that Christians are no different from you or anyone else. We are just folks who believe in God and have faith in Him, love Him and worship Him, and those and hold His words to be holy, and that we should follow them. We deal with the same sins. We deal with the same temptations. But again, the differing point is the faith and the buy-in to what is being what we are being told and commanded by God. So, um, if you are new to this, welcome, and hopefully you can stick around for more. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, welcome as well. Glad to have you here as well. We have this great chat and great community that we kind of run like a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. We have folks, the regular folks participating in the chat night in and night out, and we'd love to have you be a part of it, whether you are just interested in learning more about Christianity and you're just searching for something, you're searching for meaning, or you've been a Christian forever, you're smarter about the Bible than I am, and which isn't now that hard to do, and you're just looking for a community of like-minded individuals. We are very comfortable, very relaxed here, and we want to hear your takes on things. Maybe you think that I am right about something and you want to agree. Maybe you think that I'm completely wrong. Maybe you have unique insights or experiences in what we're discussing that can help uh, further along this stream. One of the great things about this chat is how much value, I think, and how much content it adds to what I'm bringing here. I'm just the loudmouth who puts his face on the screen and narrates the Bible and is open with my takes. You guys are far and away more interesting than I am, but it's you don't have a Sunday school, or you don't have a study group, you don't have a Wednesday night group, you don't have a small group, a life group, or anything where it's just one guy telling everybody what to think. It is a multitude of different personalities and people with opinions, all pouring over Scripture, understanding what the fundamentals are, and discussing it with each other. So you guys, again, the value here is not just the fact that I've created this channel. The value also said is what you guys bring to the table. And don't discount that. And with that said, how's everybody doing? Dresden's in the chat first. Welcome, sir. Alias is here, consisting being able to be here, consistently being able to be here. Matt Felty is here. Emmanuel Osorio is here. Hello, came back from the road today, taking the day off right now. Glad to be back. Look, me too. This week has been kind of a return to normalcy. Texan Italian. Hey, y'all. I like that. You should have been really sold this and done something like with Mario and do it Texas. It's a me. Hey, y'all. I love the group. Got some of the usual suspects in here tonight, and I'm happy to see y'all here. As so while we're waiting for and you see if anybody else to file in here. Today was the last day of school for my kids today, and so they're oddly enough, when I was their age, school was something that we were all excited to be leaving. We enjoyed our classmates and enjoyed our this is in the elementary days, enjoyed our classmates and enjoyed our teachers. But you were excited to get out to the summer where you would be free to play and not have to go to school, not have to get up, get ready in the morning. No, probably I was waking up and then running around in the yard barefoot in shorts and no shirt, doing whatever. Didn't have to worry about, and if I was hungry, I'd eat. If I wasn't hungry, I wouldn't eat. That kind of stuff. There wasn't any type of discipline that was going on. I was a free range kid, getting on my bicycle, riding down the dirt road, doing whatever mischief, probably mostly fighting with my brother. But that's what it seemed to be for me. These two kids of mine have two of three now. These two kids of mine were very, I guess, misty-eyed to be leaving their classmates and their teachers behind. My son has did this thing they call looping up or something like that, where he started in this class in second grade, and then the entire classroom, all the kids and the teacher, went to third grade. So your second grade teacher was your third grade teacher, and all your classmates in school were the same classmates that you had in third grade as well. So very cool. So they've been together 2 years, and next year they will be with a new class and new teacher, and just getting new experiences from them. So it's a cool story. My son also maybe learned a lesson in the importance and the weight that words play on things. And I'm not going to get into the story so much, but I thought it was an interesting thing for me to talk about at the beginning of this episode, this discussion, is the importance of words in our life. And many of us are very quick to say, hey, sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That said, right? Oh, what's going on? Yex, haven't seen you in a while. I mean, I've seen you on Twitter just fine, but hopefully everything's going on well with you. I know that you've got business that you're trying to handle and take care of. Hopefully everything well and good. Always praying for you, Yex. Glad to see you in the chat. The words that words are not something that are ever going to harm us physically. They're not things that are going to kill us. However, the words we choose, and we live in a day and age where this is danger, where there's always a constant danger that the wrong person is going to try to weaponize the words that we use in jest, in frustration, or just in casual conversation, and use them against us either that point right then or later on in your life, maybe a week from then, maybe 2 years from then, to go back and say, this person said this, no context given or anything. And I don't have to explain to any of you what problems that has caused people. And that is one worry that some of us don't care, right? Good on you. And if you if you don't have anything to lose, or you are at that stage, you are at just that place in life where that kind of stuff can't touch you, or is relatively you're able to ignore it for the most part, great. What I'm getting more at is making sure that we understand that our words do have weight to them. And somebody made a quote. I'm trying to think I caught it off Twitter. It's one of the guys I follow. One of the guys I follow on Twitter, and it had to do with something that Rick Warren had said about how much we agree, or how much he agrees with the SBC, but it's just, are we going to get upset over a couple of words? And the response to that was, some words are load bearing. And I love the imagery behind that, and the how he said that. Some words are load bearing, is we construct entire belief systems on words. What I explained to my son was, look, we have a Bible. We call it the Word. We call Jesus the Word. These are the words are the idea of word is very important, and it's very heavy, and it's okay, Philique, or Filioque. I don't know how to say that. Yex, I know, because I know I'm going to mispronounce it. But it's the way things are worded are important, and what we choose to say and when we choose to be silent are important as well, in many regards. And doing that with people who we respect, people that we congregate with, people that we engage in Christian fellowship with, it's important for us to just to watch our words, and important to pay attention to words, and at the same time not let words break us. Let words strengthen us. So that's my takes. That's my intro today. That's a nice little 15 minutes to get started. Almost 15 minutes to get started. Emmanuel, I'm still broke, mid-20s guy. What are they going to take? My skin? No. Oh, yes. Thank you, Yex. Great quote. I'll get back to you in a second. Yex states, St. John, let us always guard our tongue, not that it should always be silent, but that it should speak at the proper time. St. John Chrysostom. And that's wise words from a wise man. And something that is easy for us, even me. I say even me especially, even at my age. How about that? Me especially, even at my age, has to be careful about the things I say and how I come across. And I think I was talking about this yesterday or a couple of days ago. Being understood. Big ups, Yex. I'm going to leave this up for a little while. Just so everybody can read it, since I'm talking about it. Yeah, Emmanuel said, I'm still a broke mid-20s guy. What are they going to take? My skin? No. What they're going to do is file it away, and if you're ever important and they feel like they can use something you say to take you down, they will. But hey, you're in trucking, so it's going to be a long time before something like that matters in trucking industry. Emmanuel says, I'm still learning how not to hit people with the blunt truth and actually have empathy. I feel like I have a lot of empathy, especially when I'm dealing with somebody one-on-one. I've been dealing with a lot of that recently. People that you have great respect for, people that you are teaching, maybe, just people in your life in general. But at the same time, I struggle with being a blunt object like you describe, Emmanuel, the same way. Sometimes I just want to put it out there and go, here it is. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm not going to flower it. I'm not going to be passive aggressive about it or anything. It's just, here it is. Just lay it right there on the table. Sometimes it's perhaps the correct move. Sometimes people find that sometimes some people find it refreshing. Other times it might not be the way. Matt Felty, the truth isn't a weapon, it's a belt in the armor of God. The truth is the way. Truth is a lot of things. It's okay to hit him with the truth. Yeah, that's alias with some career advice for you, Emmanuel. It's okay to hit him with the truth. Just don't hit him with your truck. Well done. Well done, guys. Well, tonight we are going to talk about Hezekiah. All right. We have been talking about a lot of kings in Judah recently, and many of them have chosen the wrong things, it seems, lately. Even guys who started off good had fallen into pride or fallen into just debauched sin, idol worship of their own fame and glory, or worship of false gods and demons, and the anger and disappointment that was brought on by the Lord. And last night was some great narratives that we read, going back to, let me pull up the screen. Bring up Ahaz. When Ahaz had caused the Lord to punish Judah, along with some of Judah's general behavior as well, they're getting their captives, hauled off to Israel by the invading Israelites. Oded, the prophet, comes up and goes, "Hey, guys, send back your fellow Israelites you have taken as prisoners, for the Lord's fierce anger rests on you." Very ominous, right? And some guys got together and go, "No, we're not keeping these prisoners. Send them back. Send them back. And in fact, let's treat them very nicely on their way back. Give them clothes, feed them, give them donkeys if they can't walk. This kind of stuff." It was why weren't they taking him seriously in Israel? Don't understand it. We've just had a lot of that. And so tonight we're going to talk about Hezekiah. And we've talked about Hezekiah in Kings, and brought him up from time to time in some of our other discussions. We know he's a good guy, right? And not perfect, but when you look at the kings of Israel and Judah, he stands out, like with some others, like Josiah, as good kings that had the Lord in their heart and on their mind. And so we're gonna introduce him tonight. And I don't know if we're not gonna finish with him tonight, which is good. It's nice. Wholesome. Hezekiah the Wholesome. That's what we'll name him. All right, what we got, Yex? I've had a lot of inward troubles recently. My family's been wanting me to lead Bible studies, and I want to hit them with the straight, hard facts sometimes, but it's not always nice, you know. No, it's not. But take this as, and perhaps you already see this, right? Maybe you already know this, but just to kind of reinforce that idea, you have your family wants you, has the desire for you to lead them in Bible studies. So you have the opportunity to lead them. And I know, and if I remember correctly, X, you're a younger gentleman. That's a great opportunity that a lot of guys your age don't. A lot of guys your age don't get that opportunity, or don't have a family that looks at them the way that they looked at you. You have at least made that impression on them. So take that as your opening and the encouragement that you need. And then I'll temper that with that you also have the responsibility of not only leading them correctly, but also feeding them spiritually in a way that is going to give them the truth, but also not push them away, and also understand when somebody just doesn't want to listen. And I get it that the kind of the people that you want to listen to God's word more than anybody else is your family, especially if y'all's relationships is so that they're looking to you for guidance. And Yex, I'm gonna pray for you on this. I encourage the chat, guys. Pray for Yex in this. That this is something that he is able to do with as much success as possible, and that God's will be done. Jason Jackson, it's free and they give away free books. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, Jason, but if it is about the Bible, yes, it is free. But I don't know what else we're talking about. Maybe the truth. I have no idea. I missed context there, Mr. Jackson, but welcome to the show. All right. So we've got it up here. All right. Logos Bible software. Did you put something about that earlier? Okay, no, I didn't miss it. I use Bible Gateway just because it's easy to navigate. That's what, or unless you're giving Yex a resource for him to use, in which case, helpful. All right, let's start with tonight's reading. Hezekiah purifies the temple. Hezekiah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abijah, daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. In the first month of the first year of his reign, he opened the doors of the temple and repaired them. He brought in the priests and the Levites, assembled them in the square and on the east side, and said, "Listen to me, Levites. Consecrate yourselves now and consecrate the temple of the Lord, the God of your ancestors. Remove all defilement from the sanctuary. Our parents were unfaithful. They did evil in the eyes of the Lord our God and forsook him. They turned their faces away from the Lord's dwelling place and turned their backs on him. They also shut the doors of the portico and put out the lamps. They did not burn incense or present any burnt offerings at the sanctuary to the God of Israel. Therefore, the anger of the Lord has fallen on Judah and Jerusalem. He has made them an object of dread and horror and scorn, as you can see with your own eyes. This is why our fathers have fallen by the sword, and why our sons and daughters and our wives are in captivity. Now I intend to make a covenant with the Lord, the God of Israel, so that his fierce anger will turn away from us. My sons, do not be negligent now, for the Lord has chosen you to stand before him and serve him, to minister before him and to burn incense. And we're going to go into a little bit here, but this is a powerful, what a powerful inaugural speech or whatever this is, right? What he's saying, we already know is real. He's not making this up. He's not trying to make the other guys out to be the bad guys where they weren't. We're reading through the Kings, and we've seen what they've done, especially with Ahaz before him. Ahaz is plundering the temple, and he's not the first king to do it. Ahaz did a lot of bad things. Sacrificing his own kids to demons is disgusting. And yet, this is something that he did. And this is the precedent that he set. Well, I guess it's not the precedent. This is the example he set to Judah while he was king. And again, he's not the first to do this. So Hezekiah is like, look, we got to clean up our act. We're going to clean up our act, and we're going to start doing what we're supposed to do. And we're going to start treating the temple. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be something from us that we built for God, for him to dwell and for us to commune with him, for us to have this relationship with him. And we have treated it like it was nothing. We've treated it like dirt. So God, God has seen that for what it is. So we need to start. We're going to start fixing that up. We're going to start doing what we're supposed to do. And I'm going to start being a better example than my ancestor, my family's been. And you guys are going to start being better children of God than your parents were. We've done things our way for too long. We need to start doing things the right way. Or, to sum it up as Emmanuel does, my fellow Israelites, we don't goofed up. I'm going to fix my pact with God, and you guys should as well. Get right with the Lord. Then then these Levites set to work from the Kohathites. Mahath, son of Amasai. I got to say these names again. I can't. Mahath, son of Amasai, and Joel, son of Azariah. From the Merarites, Kish, son of Abdi, and Azariah, son of Jehalel. From the Gershonites, Joah, son of Zimmah, and Eden, son of Joah. From the descendants of Elizaphan, Shimri, and Jael. From the descendants of Asaph, Zechariah, and Mattaniah. From the descendants of Heman, Jehiel, and Shimei. From the descendants of Jeduthun, Shemaiah, and Uziel. After reading the Bible, this part in the Old Testament, I suddenly understand why that submachine gun that the Israelis make is called the Uzi. That seems to pop up from time to time, even though this is one extra Z. I did something. Yes, I did a thing. I don't know if I did the thing. I don't know if I did it right. I gave it my best try, though. Thank you, though. When they had dissembled their fellow Levites and consecrated themselves, they went in to purify the temple of the Lord, as the king had ordered, following the word of the Lord. Most important thing here, following the word of the Lord. Obvi. The priests went into the sanctuary of the Lord to purify it. They brought out to the courtyard of the Lord's temple everything unclean that they found in the temple of the Lord. And I'm sure there was a ton of it. The Levites took it and carried it out to the Kidron Valley. They began the consecration on the first day of the first month, and by the 8th day of the month, they had reached the portico of the Lord. For 8 more days, they consecrated the temple of the Lord itself, finishing on the 16th day of the first month. Okay, working good. That's some hard work. Look, that place was probably disgusting. A little over 2 weeks. Finished on the 16th day of the first month. Not bad. That's some motivated folks right there. Then they went in to King Hezekiah and reported, "We have purified the entire temple of the Lord, the altar of burnt offering with all its utensils, and the table for setting out the consecrated bread with all its articles. We have prepared and consecrated all the articles that King Ahaz removed in his unfaithfulness while he was king. They are now in front of the Lord's altar." Mission accomplished, sir. Early the next morning, King Hezekiah gathered the city officials together and went up to the temple of the Lord. They brought 7 bulls, 7 rams, 7 male lambs, and 7 male goats as a sin offering for the kingdom, for the sanctuary, and for Judah. The king commanded the priests, the descendants of Aaron, to offer these on the altar of the Lord. So they slaughtered the bulls, and the priests took the blood and splashed it against the altar. Next, they slaughtered the rams and splashed their blood against the altar. Then they slaughtered the lambs and splashed their blood against the altar. The goats for the sin offering were brought before the king and the assembly, and they laid their hands on them. The priests then slaughtered their goats and presented their blood on the altar for a sin offering to atone for all Israel, because the king had ordered the burnt offering and the sin offering for all Israel. All right. Not going to compare and contrast what they did and see if it lined up perfectly with the commandments. We'll probably find out later, but it sounds like they're doing things the way they've been told to do it. What stuck out to me, what's going on, Yex? We'll see in a bit. What stuck out to me was this, and it doesn't mean a whole lot in the context, in some context, but as a reminder, commanded the priests, the descendants of Aaron. This is something distinctly missing in their neighboring Israel nation. If you remember, I think it was Ahab, or maybe it was that near the first split of Judah and Israel. A lot of the priests were chased basically out of Israel and into Judah. Others were just compelled to go there just by the behavior of the people and the leadership in Israel. We find later with Ahab that he still has priests. How does he have priests when he's killed or chased off or imprisoned all the rest? Well, they're not Levites, and they're worshiping Baal. Tis what it is. Just something to notice here. He's making sure he's doing it right. He's using the right people to do the right things in the right way that God commanded us. Veritax says, I used to have the logo software, I think the Thomas Chain reference stuff in it, but there are so many resources online now, it's nuts. I haven't used Logos. I don't know how great it is. It's just and it might be better, right? I don't know. Like Jackson said, to each their own. And I've just always been comfortable with the way Bible Gateway is set up, and I won't tell anybody to go one way or the other because I don't know. And if you're getting the word hopefully accurately translated, then that's good. I'm not necessarily worried about which platform you're in. Okay, it's basically a platform, depends on what packages you buy for it. Maybe if I get big time, I'll check it out. But I also like using the same interface that anybody else can use. And Bible Gateway is very easy to go to and access. They've got an app that's relatively okay, and to me, it's very user friendly. And if we've got noobs in, and we do have some noobs, though I haven't seen Nico in a while. I think he's busy, but he's our resident, our token noob, our control group guy who's hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time. It's nice to know that they can go. It's something very catchy. Bible Gateway. It's very easy to remember, and they can go to it and easily see exactly the same thing that I'm seeing. But I've heard of Logos before in a positive light. So, guys, if you're interested, check it out. And I appreciate you guys bringing that up. Jackson, you bringing up initially, and Veritax, you co-signing onto it. Let's see. Where was I at? Okay, yeah. And not only that, so they're doing sin offerings, and there's a lot of sin that needs to be atoned for, right? Hezekiah understands the assignment. He stationed the Levites in the temple of the Lord with cymbals, harps, and lyres in the way prescribed by David and Gad, the king's seer, and Nathan the prophet. This was commanded by the Lord through his prophets. So the Levites stood ready with David's instruments, and the priests with their trumpets. Hezekiah gave the order to sacrifice the burnt offerings on the altar. As the offering began, singing to the Lord began also, accompanied by trumpets and the instruments of King David of Israel, or David, king of Israel. The whole assembly bowed in worship, while the musicians played and the trumpets sounded. All this continued until the sacrifice of the burnt offering was completed. Probably pretty cool. Hopefully drowned out the screams of the louds getting their throats cut. When the offerings were finished, the king and everyone present with him knelt down and worshipped. King Hezekiah and his officials ordered the Levites to praise the Lord with the words of David and of Asaph the seer. So they sang the praises with gladness and bowed down and worshipped. Not bad. Matt Felty putting his 2 cents in. Net Bible is free and has great resources, Hebrew and Greek too. I don't speak any of that. I'm American. Then Hezekiah said, "You have now dedicated yourselves to the Lord. Come and bring sacrifices and thank offerings to the temple of the Lord." So the assembly brought sacrifices and thank offerings, and all whose hearts were willing brought burnt offerings. The number of burnt offerings the assembly brought was 70 bulls, 100 rams, and 200 male lambs, all of them for burnt offerings to the Lord. The animals consecrated as sacrifices amounted to 600 bulls and 3,000 sheep and goats. The priests, however, were too few to skin all the burnt offerings. So the relatives, the Levites, helped them until the task was finished and until other priests had been consecrated. For the Levites had been more conscientious. Let's do this. For the Levites had been more conscientious in consecrating themselves than the priests had been. There were burnt offerings in abundance, together with the fat of the fellowship offerings and the drink offerings that accompanied the burnt offerings. The smell should have been amazing. The food, the feasting for this, excellent. So the service, because they're feasting after this, dude. Anytime, unless there's humility involved, and there even is here, but unless there's like sackcloth wearing and ashes and that kind of stuff, there's celebration when they return to being obedient with God. And who wouldn't be, right? This is the shades of the prodigal son. We are happy. We were lost and we're found again. And Hezekiah doing his part. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me finish this chapter and I'll get to you, Emmanuel. So the service of the temple of the Lord was reestablished. Hezekiah and all the people rejoiced at what God had brought about for his people because it was done so quickly. It seems like he got things organized pretty quick. Yeah, and Hezekiah understood the assignment. Emmanuel said, I'm going to copy Alex Jones here. I'm kind of retarded. What is the concentration of priests? You mean the consecration of priests? So there's a certain way. So the consecration of the priests is basically making themselves ritualistically and physically clean. There's a process that they have to go through in order to make sure that they are considered purified and clean enough to go about the business of the temple and the business of the Lord. Let's see if I can find a quick reference to it because I can't remember where it is in Scripture. Ooh, there it is. Oh, I like that. Quotes from church fathers. Okay, here we go. I also like free too. All right, so we're going to go back to Numbers. So we're still in the Exodus, guys. So we're talking about the consecration of the priests. This is the Lord speaking to Moses. You are to have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons, and you are to present them before the Lord as a presentation offering. In this way, you are to separate the Levites from the rest of the Israelites so that the Levites will belong to me. After that, the Levites may come to serve at the tent of meeting once you have ceremonially cleansed them and presented them as a presentation offering. For they have been exclusively assigned to me from the Israelites. I have taken them for myself in place of all who come first from the womb, every Israelite firstborn. For every firstborn among the Israelites is mine, both man and animal. I consecrated them to myself. Oh, wait, hold on. It's not talk. But sorry, so I don't have the ceremonially cleansed. They're supposed to be ceremonially cleansed and doing other things. So let's see if I can find a better reference. I don't know, but just basically they bathe. There's some other things and certain things that they have to go without. I think maybe there's some fasting. I don't know. I mean, but for the most part, they're ceremonially clean. That's the consecration. So Veritex said, yeah, not just that there were feasts, but the priest would get a bit of that which was offered with this weird poker tool to feed their family too. Temple priests likely ate very well. Dude, a burnt offering. Look, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. It was like this the other day. Telling you, my son was not feeling well, but he was asleep over there. Son wasn't feeling well, and my wife was downstairs. I was tending to him. Wife was downstairs making some steaks. He goes, "Mom's making something. It's steak." And there you go. It's an aroma pleasing to the Lord. It's pleasing to anybody. Oh, it's so good. My favorite thing to talk about in the Old Testament. I have trouble with the guilt offerings today. I suppose the correct way is to just walk rightly when things seem irreparable and not repeat mistakes. We don't have to make offerings anymore. Christ was that offering. God put him up for us. Your job is to repent, confess, repent, move forward, right? Like you said, no, not repeat mistakes. Walk rightly. Well, okay, maybe you did get this right, Matt. Walk rightly when things seem irreparable. Do the right thing, man. Yak said, I'm back. I use Katana. It has cross references, the Deuterocanon, and quotes from church fathers. That's what I was reacting to. I like stuff from the church fathers. I want to learn more about them. And I think that once I get done reading doing the Bible read through, I might I'm going to dig into some of the Apocrypha and the church and writings from the church fathers, and we can all go through it and review it together. It's free too, which is awesome. That'll be a great reference. I'll need to try to bookmark that. There were various ceremonial cisterns in the temple. Yep. Couldn't eat certain foods during their time too. Set apart. The Lord clearly loves a good barbecue. I am anybody who tells you that being a vegan is the right thing for Christians, you are wrong. Wrong. And if they didn't do it right, wouldn't they die instantly in the temple? Well, Alias, if you remember, we had a king who decided he wanted to go in there and burn incense, and he got leprosy for the rest of his life. God is a very creative being. Not just creating things, but creative in the fact that he can find new and interesting ways to punish us for when we do stupid stuff like that. There was a point. There was a point in the Exodus when Aaron lost two of his sons because they weren't taking their duties in front of the Ark of the Covenants correctly, and God just struck them down. And Moses looked at Aaron and goes, you know they had that coming, right? He said, bro, I love to talk about the church, about the fathers. Dude, I think that's I really want to know a lot more about their stories, their backgrounds, not just the things that they wrote, but the things that they went through. There was a lot of, I mean, we talk about how only one, wait, no spoilers here for the noobs, but we talk about how things don't go well for the disciples after Christ's ascension, and they go out and do the business of the Great Commission. Things aren't easy for them at all. We know this for the most part. It didn't end with them. And a lot of the early Christians and the early leaders of the Christian movement went through agonizing torture and executions. And when we talk about these early councils and these early meetings, these are a lot of times with guys who have been through the ringer and may still be in danger. So it's interesting to see what their backgrounds are as well. Yak said, a cistern of water which cleanses a person from their uncleanliness, sin. Sounds familiar. Doesn't it, though? Matt Felty, sweet. I've been curious about the Song of Solomon, Book of Wisdom. We haven't gotten there yet. Can't wait. Veritex, mishandling elements of worship, though. Uzzah tried to catch the ark and got struck dead. That's another example. God can catch his own, he can catch himself. He's not a goober. Yeah, we're going through Song of Solomon. Alias, and wasn't there a vegetarian that made an offering? I mean, there is a vegetarian offering. There's grain offering. If you can't provide the meat, if you can't provide the meat, God is ready to step into a Slim Jim. Can YouTube handle Song of Solomon? We're gonna find out. We finna find out. Hey, no spoilers, Yex. Mishandling the elements of worship causes death. Look, you've heard me say it before, and this is in a response to a lot of those cringy Reddit atheists out there who want to say the Bible is full of contradictions. It's not. What it is full of is consistency, consistent themes, consistent instructions, consistency throughout it. Consistency throughout it. Nunay, if I'm just going to have you do it because you've already done it to first and third graders. God is consistent. The truth is consistent. And if you look into the scripture honestly and earnestly, you will see that. That's what we've found already going through this far. You know, we're not at the very beginning by any means, but you know, we're here out of all these books, right? We're here. There's already been several points where we go, oh yeah, guess what? That's how it works here. All right, what's next? Oh, we finished this chapter. We're going to go off to the next chapter. All right, chapter 30. Hezekiah celebrates the Passover. We going to have a feast again. Hezekiah sent word to all Israel and Judah and also wrote letters to Ephraim and Manasseh, inviting them to come to the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem and celebrate the Passover to the Lord, the God of Israel. The king and his officials and the whole assembly in Jerusalem decided to celebrate the Passover in the second month. They had not been able to celebrate it at the regular time because not enough priests had consecrated themselves and the people had not assembled in Jerusalem. The plan seemed right both to the king and to the whole assembly. I wonder if there was any of this kind of discussed with the Lord. I guess we'll find. A lot of times you find out later on in the passage that the Lord may not have been pleased. They decided to send a proclamation throughout Israel from Beersheba to Dan, calling the people to come to Jerusalem and celebrate the Passover to the Lord, the God of Israel. It had not been celebrated in large numbers according to what was written. Hezekiah really getting back to the basics. And not only that, look, Judah and Israel have not been good neighbors in recent generations. We just got through saying Hezekiah's dad had lost a lot of his people to Israelites who had come in and raided and taken them off to be ostensibly to be slaves until the Lord intervened. Things aren't good, right? But still, Hezekiah reaches out to Israel and say, hey, Israelites, come here to Jerusalem. Be part of this. We need to do this. This is part of what we were commanded to do back when Israel was first established. At the king's command, couriers went throughout Israel and Judah with letters from the king and from his officials, which read, people of Israel, return to the Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. that he may return to you who are left, who have escaped from the hand of the kings of Assyria. Do not be like your parents and your fellow Israelites who were unfaithful to the Lord, the God of their ancestors, so that he made them an object of horror, as you see. Do not be stiff-necked. Wait, stop in here. Don't be stiff-necked. Stop being Israelites, basically. Stiff-necked and stubborn people. Do not be stiff-necked as your ancestors were. Submit to the Lord. Come to his sanctuary, which he has consecrated forever. Serve the Lord your God, so that his fierce anger will turn away from you. If you return to the Lord, then your fellow Israelites and your children will be shown compassion by their captors and will return to this land. For the Lord your God is gracious and compassionate. He will not turn his face from you if you return to him. Which, look, we've seen some heavy punishment, some heavy-handedness come down from God, and not without plenty of provocation, right? But another consistent thing with the Lord is the remorseful, the humble, those who are sorry, and show that, and and make the effort to change their ways, and communicate to the Lord that God's our Father, guys. He's not good. Again, this is what I say when you become a father or become a parent. For me, it puts so much of this stuff like what Hezekiah says there, into perspective, because you feel that for your kids. You want that for your kids. We are made in God's image. That means a lot of stuff that we feel. There's lots of about us that are God put there for a reason, and that we might relate to it more. For the Lord your God is gracious and compassionate. He will not turn his face from you if you return to him. Shades of the prodigal son. The couriers went from town to town in Ephraim and Manasseh as far as Zebulun, but people scorned and ridiculed them, because of course they did. Nevertheless, some from Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and went to Jerusalem. Also in Judah, the hand of God was on the people to give them unity of mind to carry out what the king and his officials had ordered, following the word of the Lord. All right, because, Israelite's going to Israelite. That's just what they do. But you can always find a couple of them. It's never been apparently as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah. It's never been quite that bad. There were still some righteous folks who humbled themselves and went to Jerusalem. And God, knowing what's good and doing what he can to help out, just like your dad might, if you're working hard on something, might help you out here and I'll give you a little nudge in the right direction, give you the right little bit of advice, or maybe help you with some heavy lifting. A very large crowd of people assembled in Jerusalem to celebrate the festival of unleavened bread in the second month. They removed the altars in Jerusalem and cleared away the incense altars and threw them into the Kidron Valley. They slaughtered the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the second month. The priests and the Levites were ashamed and consecrated themselves and brought burnt offerings to the temple of the Lord. Then they took up their regular positions as prescribed in the law of Moses, the man of God. The priests splashed against the altar the blood handed to them by the Levites. Since many in the crowd had not consecrated themselves, the Levites had to kill the Passover lambs for all those who were not ceremonially clean and could not consecrate their lambs to the Lord. You're not ready? I'm a help. Although most of the many people who came from Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun had not purified themselves, yet they ate the Passover contrary to what was written. But Hezekiah, because again, Israelite's going to Israelite. Sounds like they're not really passing down the proper etiquette for doing this stuff. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, "May the Lord, who is good, pardon everyone who sets their heart on seeking God, the Lord, the God of their ancestors, even if they are not clean according to the rules of the sanctuary." And the Lord heard Hezekiah and healed the people. Not trying to trivialize this, trivialize what Jesus said on the cross, but this is a very this is a very lesser level version of forgive them, they know not what they do. But Hezekiah goes, they're trying, Lord. They're trying. They've been lost for they've been lost for a long time, and they've forgotten a lot of what they should remember. Veritex. Well, if you remember, way back before they crossed the Jordan, they were told what they were charged to teach their children, but after a while they didn't. Thus, the constant slide downward. So I've had some thoughts on this before, because we've talked about it before on other shows or on other episodes. How does so often we see a righteous king give way in a righteous generation give way to a bad one, starting with Joshua, whose generation was righteous and good and took the examples that they saw from Moses's generation and put them into practice and did what they were supposed to do. And then when, as they say in Judges, after all of the Joshua's generation were dead, Israel became sinful once more. How did that happen? And how does that consistently happen? I think some of that is what you're saying, what they were charged to teach their children, but after a while they didn't. I think a lot of it also is the slippery slope. And we've seen it. You can see the slippery slope. We saw what can happen in 15 years. 15 years ago, all the weird stuff going on now, this stuff wasn't acceptable. What on earth is going on? But so we know that the slippery slope can be quick, especially when you're not knocking down high places and demons are being worshipped and sacrificed to. That's if you don't hold yourselves in check personally, individually, as a family, or as a culture, as a society, because we live in a society. If you don't do those things, you find yourself lost like everyone else. Yex looking for Easter quotes, Easter homilies. Said still, it's too big to put there. Still an awesome homily about God's mercy to all of his people, and despite them not knowing his commandments as they should. Yex, DM it to me on Twitter, and I'll read it. The other thing is this slide was part of the point of the gospel. Even if they went through the ceremonial motions, they weren't worshiping in spirit and in truth. God was likely not pleased. I think there were definitely people that looked at it that way. Not to pick on the Catholics, but you've heard this point before. As long as I make it to confession, I'm okay. Right? Then you get the sense that that person doesn't take their remorsefulness, their repentance, as seriously as they're supposed to. So there's definitely those folks, and those folks have existed throughout time, and I'm sure they were there back then. But then you've got people who are genuine about it, like Hezekiah, and he was not the only one in Israel or in Judah who feels that way. What we get from the gospel. Oh wait, okay, never mind. Veritax, I just realized rereading what you said where you're coming from with that. Okay, sorry about that, Veritax. I was thinking about I was coming at it from a different angle. Thinking about that from a different topic, from a different angle. I see where you're coming. So, yeah, scratch that. Very good point. Very good point. Because the Pharisees weren't worshiping in spirit and truth. They were doing it because many of them were doing it because it was a vehicle for power. Yeah, I get you. Sorry about that. Let's go to this homily because I see that it has been sent to me. I'm going to read it. I'm not going to share it on screen. It means something went wrong. What is going on? Whatever. Well, it's not coming up. So I'm going to read it from my phone. Can't get me down. All right, let's see how long this is. Yeah, because if it's too long, I might save it for another day. Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's not really... Oh, wait, hold on. I might be able to do this. Let's see if I can. All right. The Paschal Sermon read during the Matins of Pascha. If any man be devout and love God, let him enjoy this fair and radiant triumphal feast. If any man be a wise servant, let him rejoicing enter into the joy of his Lord. If any have labored long in fasting, let him now receive his recompense. If any have wrought from the first hour, let him today receive his just reward. If any have come at the third hour, let him with thankfulness keep the feast. If any have arrived at the 6th hour, let him have no misgivings, because he shall in no ways be deprived thereof. If any have delayed until the 9th hour, let him draw near, fearing nothing. If any have tarried even until the 11th hour, let him also be not alarmed at his tardiness. For the Lord, who is jealous of his honor, will accept the last even as the first. He gives rest unto him who comes at the 11th hour, even as unto him who has wrought from the first hour. This is good, Yex. And he shows mercy upon the last and cares for the first. And to this one he gives, and upon the other he bestows gifts. And he both accepts the deeds and welcomes the intention, and honors the acts and praises the offerings. Wherefore enter you all into the joy of your Lord, and receive your reward, both the first and likewise the second. You rich and poor together, hold high festival. You sober and you heedless, honor the day. Rejoice today, both you who have fasted and you who have disregarded the fast. The table is full laden. Feast ye all sumptuously. Great word choice there, St. John. The calf is fatted. Let no one go hungry. I mean, now I'm hungry. I had good spaghetti dinner too. Enjoy ye all the feast of faith. Receive ye all the riches of loving kindness. Let no one bewail his poverty, for the universal kingdom has been revealed. Let no one weep for his iniquities, for pardon has shone forth from the grave. Let no one fear death, for the Savior's death has set us free. He that was held prisoner of it has annihilated it. By descending into hell, he made hell captive. Enter doom music. He embittered it, and he embittered it when it tasted of his flesh. And Isaiah, foretelling this, did cry, Hell, said he, was embittered when it encountered thee in the lower regions. It was embittered, for it was abolished. It was embittered, for it was mocked. It was embittered, for it was slain. It was embittered, for it was overthrown. It was embittered, for it was fettered in chains. It took a body and met God face to face. It took earth and encountered heaven. It took that which was seen and fell upon the unseen. O death, where is your sting? Good one. O hell, where is your victory? Christ is risen, and you are overthrown. Christ is risen, and the demons are fallen. Christ is risen, and the angels rejoice. Christ is risen, and life reigns. Christ is risen, and not one dead remains in the grave. For Christ, being risen from the dead, is become the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. To him be glory and dominion unto ages of ages. Amen. Well done, Yex. Gonna save that one. Well done. Book that. Bookmark that. Let me bookmark that. Boom. We're talking about consecrating things. Daggone. And now we're talking about Passover. And look, this is for us as Christians, right? And what we know. And we know this because the thief on the cross, right? The 11th hour. We know this from the prodigal son. We just want you to make it. We gonna make it, right, Yex? We gonna make it. We just want everybody to make it. I want as many people making it into that party in heaven as there's going to be, because it's going to be awesome. And God's power is limitless. So there is plenty of room for all of us to be there. We gotta want to be there. Right? We gotta faith again, like I say before, faith is more than just believing. Faith is buying into what it is and what it stands for, what God stands for, what Jesus means, what is commanded of us, what is described to us as wholesome and good, what we are commanded to do. We have to buy into that, understand that it's right, be working towards doing it, and not becoming slaves to the sins and the obstacles that Satan puts before us. We want everybody to make it, and we want to make sure everybody knows that nothing you can do, no sin that you commit, is beyond the reach of God. And none of it is so powerful and awful that the sacrifice of Christ can't cover it and wash it away. Where do we have? Okay. The Lord heard Hezekiah and healed the people. The Israelites who were present in Jerusalem celebrated the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days with great rejoicing, while the Levites and priests praised the Lord every day with resounding instruments dedicated to the Lord. Hezekiah spoke encouragingly to all the Levites, who showed good understanding of the services of the Lord. For the 7 days they ate their assigned portion and offered fellowship offerings and praised the Lord, the God of their ancestors. What it looks like we're getting from here, and I haven't come across it yet, but what I like here that we don't see from like Jonah or the brother of the prodigal son is any type of resentment from the Judah Israelites, from the Judeans. I keep calling them the Judean because that's what I just think they're called. I could be wrong. But we don't see any resentment there. They're glad to be reunited. There's a great enjoyment of a returning for everybody. Everybody understands that they've been screwing up. This is good. This is a revival, right? It feels like a revival of faith. The whole assembly then agreed to celebrate the festival 7 more days. So for another 7 days, they celebrated joyfully. Hezekiah, king of Judah, provided 1,000 bulls and 7,000 sheep and goats for the assembly, and the officials provided them with 1,000 bulls and 10,000 sheep and goats. A great number of priests consecrated themselves. The entire assembly of Judah rejoiced, along with the priests and Levites and all who had assembled from Israel, including the foreigners who had come from Israel and also those who resided in Judah. There was great joy in Jerusalem. For since the days of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, there had been nothing like this in Jerusalem. The priests and the Levites stood to bless the people, and God heard them, for their prayer reached heaven, his holy dwelling place. This has been a good episode, guys. This has been a good reading. So I said, we needed Hezekiah. After this reading through Kings, reading through Chronicles, a lot of times can get you down because you're like, why are so many of these kings so stupid and evil and disobedient and awful, coming up with terrible ways to stray from God and disrespect him, spit at him? All the hubris and pride, because it's Pride Month, all the pride it takes to be that way. And then we come across a Hezekiah who's not prideful, who's not disobedient, immediately puts the task of picking up the pieces. And not only that, it seems he has great compassion, not just for those in Judah, but all of the Israelites, all the people, all of those who God had said he set aside and made this covenant with. Think about this. Not since Solomon did we have a king that was going to try, not since the breaking of Israel, have we seen a king make inroads to unite in worship, to do God's will. And he did this when there was still animosity. And yeah, some of those jackasses mocked him for the invitation, but some came, and they maybe they didn't know exactly how to behave or how to conduct themselves. But Hezekiah knew that they were being earnest in their desire to be obedient, and prayed for them. And God, being the compassionate Father that he is for us, heard Hezekiah and healed the people. The priests and the Levites stood to bless the people, and God heard them, for their prayer reached heaven, his holy dwelling place. Well, as you said, Veritex says, well, as you said earlier, even those of the supposedly good kings were not necessarily good by God's standards because they didn't tear down the high places. They don't, but they're described often as doing right by in the eyes of the Lord. I think that we're very careful to keep from saying that any of these guys were perfect. We're far from perfect. David sets that standard for the kings, or even the great David failed in some respects. It just happens. But and a lot of kings do right in the sight of the Lord, in the eyes of the Lord, but still forget to put the bring down the high places. What it does, though, I think, is set up the next generation to fall under the influence of those high places and those devils. And let me scroll back up here. Veritex said, my favorite thing to ask about is Lent. Topic for another day. I mean, I take part in Lent. I've done it. I've participated in done my own Lent fasting the past 2 years, just while I've been doing this channel, and I like it. I think it's a good thing to get. I think even if it's not something you think is biblically required, I think that it's always good to realize that if there's something that's not God related that you think you could struggle with if you didn't partake in it for 40 days, maybe you should. Maybe you should try. And maybe the attempt and possible success will go a long way in your own personal life. Emmanuel said, this is a good reading. Time after time, we see that it takes a good leader and the love of God to restore anything. You know what I think this is a good reminder of? The pendulum swinging the other way is always a generation away. Either way. We've seen how fast things can go. Things can spiral out of control culturally. Just as fast as some stuff breaks loose, faith in the Lord can break loose as well. It comes down to us and the intentionality behind us. What are we doing? All right, guys, this has been great active stream. Gotta thank some newcomers. You know, newcomers like Veritax, who's been on here the past a couple of times. Yex, who's been around a while, but hasn't been able to tune in. And haven't seen you in a while, Emmanuel, as well. Just glad you guys are doing well. Glad you guys joined the show and decided to put your 2 cents worth in. Even if it contradicts what I say, don't be afraid to put it out there. Don't be afraid to put it out there. I put my foot in my mouth often. I talk a lot. Just doing these readings, and I've done other episodes that don't count on this. Just doing these readings, I've done 182 of them. This is the 182nd episode I've done reading the Bible. That's a lot of biblical discussion. I am sure I said something absolutely asinine more than once. 70 times 70. I've probably said it. If you guys catch me, put me in my place. Keep me in check. I say this at the beginning. No different from you guys in many respects. I'm just the guy sitting in the pew next to you. All right. With that having said that, Blaine, I'm not wearing overalls today, but I'm going to wear them tomorrow. I don't like your attitude. Well, thanks, Blaine. Thanks for chiming in before the end of the show so you can get your mention. All right, guys. Blaine, whose show is starting any minute now. If you got any of you guys are into anime, he's got a great channel. Blaine's Escape Corner, Matt Felty, Emmanuel Osorio, Baratax, Yex D, Nernaeth, Alias. That might be the group. Jackson, Jason Jackson. Texan Italian, and Dresden. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for participating in the chat. I've said it at the beginning. I'll say it at the ending. You guys make it better. Make the show better. To everybody listening, but who, for whatever reason, have chosen or unable to chat, thank you for giving me your ears. Thank you for giving me your attention. If you guys want to support the show, just like the channel and share it with anybody who you think might be interested or needing to hear it. Give me any shout outs. I'm not here for money. I'm here to grift viewers. I'm here to grift people who might want some place to go to and learn more about Christianity, whether you are already a faithful follower of God or you're somebody who is looking for, like the guy who came into the lobby a few months ago. I don't know what to do. The guy who came into the lobby of my church a few months ago. I don't know what to do. Sit down and let's talk, buddy. Sit down. I'm grateful for the people who tune in. I'm grateful for every subscriber. I'm very grateful for every like. I'm grateful for every comment that's made. I'm grateful for every share. I'm glad we have this. So with that said, you guys have a very good night. And God bless. Don't forget about Friday. It's off topic. Off topic Friday.